As I mentioned in the last video, I'm going to update some videos that are already a few years old. And that's the case with this mini kiln for glass fusing and ceramics using the microwave. I'm going to show you how to make it with materials that are very easy to find and that are truly very, very affordable. I'm going to give you the costs and I'm going to run some tests. Nothing too fancy because that's not my thing, but it's just so you can see that it really works. Basically, to make our oven, we'll need three things. An alumina firebrick. It can't be any other type of firebrick. It has to be this kind of alumina. Unless you want to make it yourselves, it's a process that takes quite a bit of time. And, well, if you're interested, I can explain it in another video. The easiest thing is to buy the brick. It costs about $2 or $3, more or less. I recommend that you buy at least two, although for this oven we're going to make now, we'll only need one. We'll also need green silicon carbide. Pay attention, it has to be green. Don't buy the gray one, it has to be green silicon carbide. This is number 220. I bought this on Mercado Libre. A kilo of this product, ready to use, costs about $13. With 1 kilo, you can make between 15 and 20 small ovens. So I know there are a lot of girls who are in ceramics and glass fusion workshops who watch my videos. You can make a group purchase and the cost will go down a lot. I also need it. There's also the possibility of getting fragments of green emery stone from mechanical workshops and grinding and sifting it to get the powder. This, well, will cost you nothing, but it's more work. I showed you this in last week's video about recycling broken or worn emery stones, which is right now in the eye. The last ingredient we need is bentonite. I also bought it on Mercado Libre. No, not this one. I bought this one directly in Cordoba when I had the chance to go to the ceramist shop. A kilo costs the equivalent of about $3. And that's all, just those three materials. So the total cost, calculating for each little kiln with what we're going to use of silicon carbide, just one brick and everything, it comes out to about $4. It's very, very cheap. That's about 6,000 Argentine pesos. Now let's see how it's made. The first thing is to cut the fire brick in half. These bricks are very soft. They can be cut very easily with a saw, or you can use a serrated knife. That's Tramontina. They have a consistency that really reminds me of meringue. They crumble easily and are very, very easy to hollow out. I told you to buy 2 bricks because, well, since they're so soft, they're fragile. They break with use and, well, any impact can fracture them, although they can also be fixed. Once we have the 2 halves, we're going to hollow out the faces. You can do this manually with a chisel, with a screwdriver, with a spoon. If we do it manually, no, I'm going to do it using a hole saw. One of these you're seeing here. Well, I'll leave all the hole saws set up for you. So it's easier for me because it completely hollows out the whole space. You don't have to make it round. You can also make it square so it has more capacity. But keep the following in mind. The bigger the little oven is, the longer it will take for the microwave to reach the right temperature, to melt the glass or to bisque fire the ceramic. I don't recommend making them too big because microwaves are designed to work for short periods of time. If we have to leave it for 20 or 30 minutes to fire a ceramic in a short time, the microwave is going to break. Or it will simply shut off due to overheating, since these microwaves have several sensors inside that disconnect it if the internal parts get too hot. So it's going to shut off in the middle of what we're cooking, and that's not good for us. My recommendation is to hollow out 2 halves with a hole saw and use them according to the height of what we want to make. For example, we can use just 1/2 or both. I'm going to do it like this. I ended up with both holes, each about 45 millimeters deep and 65 millimeters in diameter. That means, with both parts, we can fire ceramic pieces up to about 70 to 75 millimeters in height and with a diameter of 55 to 60 millimeters. Keep in mind that whatever we heat in these little kilns should not touch the walls. The walls get red hot, and well, you'll ruin your work if they end up touching. There has to be, let's say, a layer of air between the carborundum wall that gets red hot and the piece. To cook properly, we mark the center of the bricks, and with a centering drill bit, we start making the holes. Once the entire circle has been marked, we will raise the centering drill bit so that it doesn't drill too much either through the floor or the ceiling in any case of our little oven. So we raise the drill bit and continue drilling in this process. You have to do it using a face mask because, well, a lot of dust gets stirred up and, well, it's not good for us to breathe it in and it can be harmful to our lungs, so use a face mask. All right, we've already done part of the job. Let's see now. You see how it looks? We end up with a little column in the center part. We're going to break that central column with pliers, just like you're seeing, and we smooth out the ceiling and the floor using a chisel. Notice how soft the material is, how easy it is to level the whole floor and ceiling of our little oven. It's really soft. It's really nice to work with this material. All right, now we're going to prepare the mixture of silicon carbide, or carborundum as it's also known, which is what will absorb the microwaves and heat up until it's red hot. For a 2-brick furnace like this one, we use about 60 grams of silicon carbide and about 7% of that amount in bentonite. In this case, for example, it would be 7 times 60 divided by 100, which gives me 4.2 grams. So we weigh out 4.2 grams of bentonite and 60 grams of carborundum. We mix them well, breaking up any lumps that might be there, and then we're going to start adding water. We do this little by little until it has a consistency like mayonnaise. Once it has that consistency, with a regular ordinary brush, we paint one of the insides of the molds. We paint it completely, and the other one, that's it. We're just going to paint the wall, nothing else, because one will be left as the base, and where the base is, it shouldn't be painted. So I put a piece of cardboard on it. We're going to give it 2 or 3 coats and let it sit for a couple of hours before we do the curing. The wall, more or less with carborundum, should be about 2 or 3 millimeters thick, so keep that in mind. You need to give it at least 3 coats. Whatever carborundum mixture you have left over, if you have any left, that's it. Let it dry and save it to prepare another small oven or to make repairs after the drying time has passed, which is about 2 or 3 hours, more or less. We're going to make a small hole in the brick that has the whole compartment painted so we can peek in later. If the oven gets red hot, that little hole will serve as a peephole so we can see if the oven is heating up properly. To cure the oven, we're going to put 2 parts in the microwave and set it to maximum power for about 12 minutes using the little hole we made. We'll be able to see how long it takes to get red hot. The inside will start turning red as time goes by. In my case, after 2 minutes, you could already see the red inside. It also depends a bit on the microwave, but in the 2 microwaves I have, it takes about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. And you can already see that it's red inside. The red shouldn't just be any red. It should be a bright, bright red. There has to be a very, very bright red coming out of the hole. Once the time is up and the microwave turns off, let it cool down without opening it. and then the little oven will be ready. Well, just so you can see how it looks inside, incandescent and all red, I'm going to open it, but you shouldn't open it. Let it cool down naturally. You can open the microwave door, but leave it there to cool down on its own once it's cold. You'll see that the silicon carbide walls, which were soft and crumbled easily, have vitrified and now have a hard, stone-like consistency. It's very, very firm. That's sometimes due to the big thermal difference between the carborundum and the alumina, because alumina doesn't heat up in the microwave. Sometimes the brick can crack, and sometimes even the carborundum itself cracks too, but it still works, so don't worry if there's a little crack. No, don't panic. Okay, now I'm going to do some tests, melting bottle glass, just with what I have on the bottom of the little furnace so the melted glass doesn't stick. You place a special paper, it's called fiber paper, for glass fusing kilns, or you can also use a mixture of kaolin. But since I don't have either of those things, I'm going to use a bit of rock wool, which is a special insulation left over from when I built a gas furnace. I'll leave it in the eye if you want to check it out. We put a bit of this insulation at the base, then place the glass pieces on top and put it in the microwave for about 5 to 7 minutes, more or less. Because I'm only going to use one part of the little oven, I'm going to use the part that has the painted roof. When we use both parts, we need to give it more time, about 10 to 12 minutes. But when we use just one, 5 to 7 minutes will work perfectly. And we watch the shine of the light that comes out through the little hole. All right, look, only 2 minutes have passed and the peephole is already glowing red. Now 5 minutes have passed. It's not a good idea to open the little oven when it's very hot because the piece could crack. You have to let it cool down and then open it. All right, I'm going to open it just a little to see if they melted, but notice that I'm only opening it a little, nothing more. And then I leave it there. It melted so well, we'll leave it there. You can use the kitchen oven, then wash the inside with detergent and a sponge. I always used it until, well, they kicked me out of the kitchen. The problem might be that sometimes with some ceramics, I've never done ceramics because I don't have any ceramics. But now, when I go to Cordoba, I'm going to buy some and do the tests. They usually create smells that fill the kitchen. The best thing is to get a small oven, a microwave oven just for this. They gave me this one as a gift because when they turned it on, it sparked all over inside. Well, it was all chipped, so I sanded it, bought special paint, a pretty expensive paint, painted the inside, and it turned out spectacular. It works really well for my experiments and also as a backup, because when the one in the kitchen breaks, they steal from me. This also works for making a smaller oven. Look at this one, for example, which is a much smaller little oven. I made it with a piece of brick I had left over somewhere. With this one, I melted in just 4 minutes. So for testing, and if they're small things, it's great. Well, I made several little things here with bottle glass. Jewelry obviously isn't really my thing. But I know that many women and kids who work on this are going to make amazing things with these little ovens. If you have any questions, leave them here in the comments and I'll be very happy to answer. Soon I'm going to teach you how to make crucibles. To melt metals, aluminum, lead, bronze, you can melt them in the microwave. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video and that you can do this at home or in your workshops. Give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell to get notifications when I upload new content. You can also join, and in that case, I'll add you to a WhatsApp group where the premium members are. Thank you so much for watching the video, and see you next time, God willing.